All right, today we're going to be talking about giants and where the tale of giants come from. We all hear children's stories like Jack and the Beanstalk and the troll living under the bridge and the cyclops that kills people, but just listen to how far back the giants really go. In Hinduism, they talk about a giant being the size of a mountain. Greek mythology is filled with stories of giants in conflict with the Titans and in conflict with the other pagan gods. Something that I find really interesting about Greek mythology and giants is that they believe that giants lay buried under the earth and that their tormented quivers cause earthquakes and volcanic eruptions. And I'll explain in a minute why that's important. In Roman mythology, we find statues of Jupiter all the time, and he is referred to as a giant. And Norse mythology is full of giants as well. They believe in 3 different types of giants. These were frost, fire, and mountain giants. The Norse mythology also has something really interesting to say about giants. It says, even so, the gods themselves were related to the giants by many marriages. Again, I will let you know why this is important in a minute. So as we can see, most major religions of the world believed in giants. But what does the Bible say about these creatures? The Bible mentions these creatures in the book of Genesis, but pay attention. Genesis 6:1 states, when man began to multiply on the face of the land and daughters were born to them, the sons of God saw that the daughters of man were attractive. And they took as their wives any they chose. Then the Lord said, my spirit shall not abide in man forever, for he is flesh. His days shall be 120 years. It goes on to say, the Nephilim were on the earth in those days and also afterward, when these sons of God came into the daughters of man, and they bore children to them. These were the mighty men who were of old, the men of renown. So that leads us to this question. Who are the sons of God? I personally think that Job 1:6 answers this question. It says, now there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan also came among them. So this clearly couldn't have been humans. Job 38:7 also says this, when the morning stars sang together and all the sons of God shouted for joy. Just so everybody's clear, the Bible says that fallen angels or the sons of God came down to earth and corrupted themselves with mankind, and they mated with human women, and that these women bore children, and these children were called Nephilim, and these Nephilim were the great mighty men of renown. In the book of 2 Peter in the New Testament, it says this, for if God did not spare angels when they sinned, but cast them into hell and committed them to chains of gloomy darkness to be kept until the judgment. Jude 1:6 backs this up by saying this, and the angels who did not stay within their own position of authority, but left their proper dwelling, he has kept in eternal chains under gloomy darkness until the judgment of the great day. Just as Sodom and Gomorrah and the surrounding cities, which likewise indulged in sexual immorality and pursued unnatural desire, serve as an example by undergoing a punishment of eternal fire. So the fallen angels who came down to earth and helped produce these giants are now kept in eternal chains in hell. But we know that after the book of Genesis, there's still mentions of giants. For example, the infamous story of David killing Goliath. By the way, I just discovered this today. I never knew that David had killed more than one giant. Apparently, him and his servants killed up to 4 more giants. I just thought that was cool. In the book of Numbers, it says, and there we saw the Nephilim, the sons of Anak, who come from the Nephilim. And we seemed to ourselves like grasshoppers, and so we seemed to them. So they were a lot more tiny than the Nephilim. By the way, I forgot to say this. Remember how I was talking about in Greek mythology and Norse mythology, how they believed that these gods were intermingling with humans. This is why it's crazy, because the book of Genesis talks about it. And remember that in Greek mythology, they were talking about giants being laid buried under the earth and that their tormented quivers cause earthquakes and volcanic eruptions. I'm not saying that this is 100% accurate, but I find it crazy how it's very similar.